Nancy Guthrie had always been seen as the steady heart of her family, an 84-year-old grandmother whose quiet strength helped shape the lives of her children, including her well-known daughter, Savannah Guthrie. When Nancy suddenly disappeared from her Tucson home in early 2026, the story quickly became national news. At first, the narrative seemed tragically simple, an elderly widow gone missing under mysterious circumstances. But within days, a surprising discovery revealed that Nancy had been living a secret life for more than 30 years. What investigators uncovered was not just a missing person case, but a deeply personal story of hidden identity, love, and choices that would shock her family and the public alike. The woman everyone thought they knew. For decades, Nancy Guthrie embodied resilience and devotion. After her husband Charles died of a heart attack in 1989, she was left to raise 3 teenagers alone in Tucson, Arizona. Friends described her as calm, practical, and deeply faithful. She worked part-time as a bookkeeper for small local businesses and spent much of her free time volunteering at church. To her children, Savannah, Annie, and Cam, she was the unwavering parent who kept their lives steady during difficult years. Savannah often spoke publicly about her mother's quiet strength, telling audiences that Nancy faced every challenge with grace rather than self-pity. To the outside world, she represented the classic image of a devoted widow who dedicated her life to family. The envelope that changed everything. The carefully constructed image of Nancy's life began to unravel 5 days after she vanished. On February 6th, 2026, an unmarked envelope arrived at Savannah's New York home. Inside was a faded photograph showing a much younger Nancy standing beside an unfamiliar man outside a cafe in Santa Fe, New Mexico. On the back was a short handwritten message. She deserved more than secrets. Ask about Elena. The photograph was dated 1992, 3 years after Charles's death. When Savannah shared it with her siblings during a tense video call, none of them recognized the man or understood the reference to Elena. Yet that single clue would lead investigators to uncover a hidden life Nancy had carefully concealed for decades. A chance encounter in Santa Fe investigators eventually traced the photograph back to a trip Nancy had taken to Santa Fe in 1991 for what she told her family was a church retreat. During that visit, she met Victor Ramirez, a gallery owner and painter originally from Mexico City. Victor had moved to New Mexico after leaving political unrest behind in the 1980s. Like Nancy, he was a widower. Their conversations began with shared stories of loss, but quickly grew into something deeper. Victor's creative, free-spirited lifestyle contrasted sharply with Nancy's structured life in Tucson. The connection between them was immediate. Although Nancy returned home after the retreat, the meeting marked the beginning of a relationship that would quietly shape the next 3 decades of her life. The birth of Elena. Nancy soon began traveling to Santa Fe several times a year, telling her family she was attending retreats or visiting friends. In reality, she was spending time with Victor. During these visits, he gave her the nickname Elena, inspired by a character from a Mexican novel they both admired. Under that name, Nancy began exploring parts of her personality she had long kept hidden. In Tucson, she remained the dependable mother and church volunteer. In Santa Fe, she became Elena, someone who laughed freely, attended art gatherings, and embraced the creative community surrounding Victor's gallery. The two worlds rarely overlapped, allowing Nancy to maintain the illusion that nothing in her life had changed. Living 2 lives at once. Balancing 2 identities was not easy, yet Nancy managed it with remarkable discipline. She drove long distances between Arizona and New Mexico, often making 8-hour trips alone. In Tucson, she baked birthday cakes for grandchildren, attended church potlucks, and offered advice to her children. In Santa Fe, she attended gallery openings, debated philosophy with artists, and danced at late-night fiestas. Friends in each city knew completely different versions of her. The separation allowed Nancy to protect both lives, but also required constant secrecy. For years, she kept letters from Victor locked in a box beneath her bed, ensuring that no trace of Elena would accidentally surface in her family home. The weight of a long-held secret. As the years passed, maintaining the double life began to take a toll. Victor later told investigators that Nancy sometimes felt overwhelmed by guilt, especially as her children built successful careers and families of their own. She worried that revealing her relationship would shatter their perception of the devoted widow who never moved on after their father's death. Victor encouraged her to be honest, but Nancy hesitated. Her children's image of her, she believed, brought them comfort. Instead of risking that bond, she chose to keep Elena hidden. The decision allowed the relationship to continue, but also deepened the emotional divide between Nancy's two worlds. New fears before the disappearance. According to Victor, Nancy's mood shifted noticeably in the years leading up to her disappearance. The pandemic in 2020 interrupted her visits to Santa Fe, leaving her isolated in Tucson and increasingly anxious. When travel resumed, her stays became shorter. During her last visit in January 2026, she reportedly mentioned feeling watched in Tucson. She described strange phone calls and once believed a car had followed her. At the time, Victor dismissed these fears as stress or paranoia related to aging and health concerns. However, investigators later discovered unusual financial activity connected to Nancy's secret identity, suggesting that someone might have discovered her hidden life. A financial clue and a possible motive. When authorities examined Nancy's financial records, they noticed a pattern of small transfers between her Tucson accounts and the Santa Fe partnership. One transaction stood out. In December 2025, $5,000 had been wired to an unknown account in Mexico. Victor insisted he had no knowledge of the transfer. Investigators began exploring the possibility that Nancy was being blackmailed by someone who had discovered her alias. The locked box that once contained her letters and photographs with Victor was also missing from her home, raising suspicion that the intruder had specifically targeted evidence of her secret relationship. A family forced to reconsider the past. For Nancy's children, the discovery was deeply unsettling. During a private meeting with investigators, they learned the full extent of her hidden life, her alias, the gallery partnership, and the decades-long relationship with Victor. Savannah reportedly struggled to reconcile the two versions of her mother, the quiet widow who raised them and the adventurous Elena who lived freely in Santa Fe. Annie expressed shock, while Cam questioned why their mother had never trusted them with the truth. Despite the emotional turmoil, the siblings agreed on one priority: finding Nancy and understanding what had happened during the hours before she disappeared. A community reacts to the revelation. News of Nancy's secret identity spread quickly, capturing public attention and sparking intense debate online. Some people admired her for pursuing happiness despite the constraints of widowhood. Others felt the secrecy was a betrayal to her family. Meanwhile, Victor's gallery in Santa Fe became a focal point for reporters and curious visitors. Locals who knew Elena described her as kind, creative, and deeply supportive of young artists. Many expressed disbelief when they learned she was also the mother of a nationally recognized journalist. For Victor, the sudden attention was overwhelming, forcing him to temporarily close the gallery while investigators examined records. The investigation continues. Authorities are now exploring multiple possibilities behind Nancy's disappearance. Was she targeted by someone attempting to exploit her secret? Did the mysterious financial transfer connect to a larger scheme? Or was there another personal motive tied to the life she built as Elena? Investigators are reviewing surveillance footage, interviewing acquaintances in both Tucson and Santa Fe, and tracking leads connected to the missing lockbox and the Mexico account. Each discovery adds another layer to the story of a woman who spent decades balancing duty, love, and identity in ways few people ever suspected. Outro, a mystery, still unfolding. Nancy Guthrie's story is far more than a missing person case. It is the story of a woman who quietly built two lives, one devoted to family and another devoted to personal freedom. For 30 years, she managed to keep those worlds separate, believing that secrecy protected the people she loved. Now that hidden chapter has come to light, leaving her family and investigators searching for answers. As the investigation continues, one question remains at the center of it all. Was Nancy's disappearance connected to the life she kept hidden? Or is there an even deeper mystery waiting to be uncovered? Only time may reveal the truth.